So the data at a very high level, correct me if I'm wrong, but the data at a really high level is your members submit monthly trial balances.
Correct.
And the payment, the actual real payment arrangement, the payment outcomes are grouped in current, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, correct?
Correct.
And then, and how many roughly members have you got?
221.
Okay, representing certainly most of the biggest suppliers around would that be?
It's a big cross section of the building supply industry in Australia, and some of the iconic suppliers are involved in the industry.
Yeah. So all that's bundled into one big thing. So what's the monthly sort of aggregate of the trial balance dollars? If I'm sort of it's a bit of a.
Yeah, it averages $2.5 billion worth of trading data a month, and that's on around roughly between 60 and 70,000 debtor entities that our members have been trading with. In total, we've got about 170 plus thousand debtor entities in our system, but that would include insolvent companies that stay on the database or companies that might not operate. But month to month, it's between 60 and 70,000 debtor entities that we've got live trading data on.
So people that are listening who don't really, or watching who don't really understand the significance of this organisation, there it is in a couple of sentences. You're actually talking about credit managers or credit sections supplying, who are these days I know, very, very, very attentive to the details that manifest themselves in terms of their trial balances. If something's current, something is current. Disputed amounts are shown as disputed amounts. Is that correct, or is it? Yeah,
well, we go to great lengths to make sure that our data is accurate as we can possibly make it. So, for example, we ask our members not to send us the retention balances on their trial balances, or if they do, to flag it so that we can exclude it, because we don't want that distorting the figures. Obviously, there's going to be some data in there that there's all sorts of reasons why it might be sitting there, and you can generally, looking at the data, you can sort of pick up some anomalies where you might have a large debt sitting there belonging to one member at 90 days plus, but you can see they're currently supplying. So there's obviously a story behind that debt parked at 90 days. Yep. So we encourage our members to communicate with each other. They can do that through our system. All the contact information, including the email address, the telephone numbers, are all there. But they can also, just at the click of one button, request a trade reference from that member. So it's just bonk, and that shoots out a request for a trade reference. Or they can simply generate an email or pick up the phone. So we encourage our members to do that, not to jump to conclusions. They need to understand how to read the data in our system. And we try our best to engage with our members to provide that insight before they really start using the system proper. So there's a fair bit of training goes into a new member, and we're always available for any queries that they might have. We're always happy to answer those queries and try and demystify some of the things they're looking at. And that's why it's so important for us to take it to the next stage now, to build these predictive tools with a summary page available on each data file in our system that actually gives them a very, very good summary of what's actually going on. And then a score, to say, well, hang on a second, we're seeing a pretty serious deterioration in a lot of the major metrics in this particular business. So we don't just look at the trading data. You've got to look at a number of factors together, because that builds a picture of risk. And so if you're looking at some of the ASIC notices that might be coming down the pipeline, if you look at the court actions that might be present, if you look at what the licensing bodies might be doing to that entity, and you look at what the anecdotal information might be coming from our members, it all joins together to actually give you that that critical information where you can actually make a fairly good informed decision about what you should be doing.